All right. See how long it takes a few people to hop in here. Sipping on my water. I am drinking a ridiculous amount of water right now. Try to get my first gallon before 9 a.m. All right, I'm going to chill, wait for people to flow in. But yeah, filled up quick yesterday. It might be a little early today for this. There we go. Now people are hopping in. All right, people are hopping in. By the way, you have to be subscribed to my channel to actually comment, which I noticed gave me quite a few extra subscribers yesterday. Hi, Coach. Thanks for all the info you share with us. You are most welcome, brother. Hey, Jason, love the programs. Thank you. Glad you enjoy them. And I hope you guys are enjoying all the client vlogs because you're seeing a lot of programs. You're seeing different programming for different people. And I think that's been really, really useful for people. All right, we got questions starting. What's your opinion on 5s Pro and SSL for the primary lifts? I'm trying to remember what SSL is. Second set last. Okay. I think second set last is probably too heavy for most advanced lifters. I tried it with one of my advanced guys and advanced around a 480 squat. He's got a 560 deadlift. He's a little weak on his bench. He struggled with it. He struggled with recovery big time on second set last. So I tend to do for 5 stuff first set last, or I just stick people at a flat 70% for their 5x5. Right? If they're going to do 5s for back off work in place of boring but big, a lot of times I'll run a flat 70%. I have one of my master's weightlifters who competes in weightlifting right now who I do run it in waves like that, though. I do the first set last, but he only trains 3 days a week. And then he has a separate day for practicing his technique on his Olympic lifts. I like 5s Pro. I think that you need to kind of watch and do progression on it carefully, but I think it's actually pretty good. I've used it for a couple of clients. And I'm kind of devising my own system for that. Hey, Jason, how's your fatigue management going? It's going really, really hard right now. I am cutting. Again, I'm not going to give my exact meet date, but I am really, really close to a meet. And I'm trying to continue to drop body fat. So, and now I'm starting to struggle to get my 12 hours of sleep I've been getting. Now I'm getting like 9 and waking up. So the fatigue management's getting pretty tough with the cut, but I will get it on point. Definitely getting a little cramping at the end of my workouts, even with the volumes I'm doing right now with the cutting. What's your favorite 5-3-1 template? Boring but big. I actually think that's the best one, and it's the original. I think you'll get the most mileage out of it. I think even if you want to devise variations of 5-3-1, stuff like I'm kind of doing with 3-day-a-week programs and stuff, I think boring but big should generally be your foundation before you go to other stuff. All right, I've been running 5-3-1 for about 8 months and find the client vlogs quite motivating. Thank you. I'm glad you do. Can I do 5x5 on Ice Cream Fitness 2.0 instead of 3x5, but keep everything else the same? Honestly, probably, if you're going to eat enough. I really wrote the 2.0 because a lot of people can't handle the volume of the original. So if you did that, it would be kind of a compromise. Oh, Sober Powerlifting, my bro donated. I appreciate it, brother. He and I have some pretty good chats in Messenger. And he's about to break a master's bench record himself coming up. And I actually will see you at meets, brother, because we've signed up for some of the same stuff potentially. Do you agree with Jordan Feigenbaum, barbell medicine point of view, that lifting technique does not necessarily cause injuries? Yeah, that is what the evidence suggests. And I'm not saying technique doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that overuse seems to be the biggest problem. But, we come into the point of how much of your overuse compounds with bad technique. Have you ever slipped a disc and how long you were out from squatting and deadlifting? I was in high school when I did it. So I've never done it from training. So I've not been knocked out of training with a back injury ever. And I know a lot of people who are evidence based hate chiropractors, but a chiropractor did actually fix my lower back. He got everything to stay in place, and I didn't have problems with it after working with him for 6 weeks. It was back to normal, and I saw the x rays, it was pretty bad. Darren, oh, thank you. I appreciate the donation, brother. Who would you not recommend neck extensions? Will it make posture worse? I got asked yesterday. Larson Press got asked yesterday too. No, it shouldn't make your posture worse. Neck extensions could, in theory, improve your posture. Who would I not recommend neck extensions to? People maybe with sleep apnea, people who are very overweight, people who are at a real high body weight blasting metric fuck tons of gear. That's a bad combination. You're going to make your sleep apnea worse. But I think if you're not real fat and you're drug free or modestly enhanced, I think neck extensions are fine if you want to do them. All right. I think they're fine. I've been doing back and forth. I haven't been doing them the last couple of weeks again, but I may work them back in eventually. What do you think of 45-degree hyper extensions with a barbell, perhaps with a snatch grip too? Honestly, you're just doing variations. To be honest, it probably doesn't matter how you load them. But I will point out that holding onto a bar for hip hinging in general can contribute more to overall fatigue. Most of us get enough pulling if you're doing rows, pull-ups, deadlifting, everything else. You're holding a barbell in your hands a lot. There's a lot of fatigue from that. I don't know that I would recommend that unless you're on a lower volume deadlift program. So I would keep it up on your back. Either hold a plate on your chest, put a barbell on your back. Safety squat bar works really well for that if you're struggling to get the barbell up there and get in position. And then sober powerlifting. Squats today still only about 50% because of my injury, but it's getting better. Yeah, your squat looked good the other day because you were a little high on the last one I saw, but it looked like you're getting better depth. So again, just keep working with that abductor. Hey, coach. Hey, JV. That's one of my clients. Jason, when you lived in the UK, what city was it? I was in Cheltenham. What would you say are some good 10 rep maxes on the big lifts to be big as a natty? Well, you're not necessarily going to do 10 rep maxes per se on any system, but if you want to extrapolate that over to say, my big 5 or big 4 strength standards, because I've got videos coming out breaking down a big 4, and then they'll be out in months. I'm way ahead on videos. That's why I'm doing these. I have too many videos. And the coaching is really getting easy in terms of my time management. So 10 rep maxes, whatever 70% of that is. So if we look at that and say a 400 squat, a 500 deadlift, assume if you can do 70% of that for 10, you're at the equivalent, right? Because I don't mean that you need to hit those on maxes. You just need to be at the equivalent strength level to do so, which largely comes from hypertrophy, right? Benny Watts, who joined membership today. Appreciate it, brother. Thoughts on 5-3-1 Joker sets? I don't like them. Maybe if you're a novice or you don't have a coach programming stuff. Wow, got a $50 donation from Ronak Singh. Did I say your first name right? Let me know if I got it wrong. I actually know several people with the last name Singh. I usually get their names right. Sorry, I'm from Texas. But I appreciate that. He said he can't afford full coaching services, but he gave a donation. Appreciate it, brother. And that's why I put out so much free information. I'm going to be at a point where I'm going to have to eventually turn clients away. I may have to raise prices if demand gets too high. And not everyone can afford coaching for $250 a month, because I'll tell most people if you're only getting coached for 1 or 2 months, it's kind of a waste of money. My people who get the good results are my long-term people like Emma, people like Charles, people like Mike, people who stayed on for a year or longer. And that's a pretty damn big financial investment for a lot of people. And I get that. I understand that. But hopefully with the client vlogs, people who don't have that sort of disposable income, to spend $3,000 a year on a coach, that it will help them along, right? And that's kind of the idea that I thought was really great when I started doing those. Thoughts on lat pull down for someone who's too weak to do volume work on pull-ups. Lat pull, we call those fat pull downs. Again, people who are too fat to do pull-ups. I think it's reasonable, but here's what I would rather see in place of it. I would rather see vertical rows, right? To where you're hanging. You guys have seen me do them. When I have a lot of lifters who can't do pull-ups yet, I have them do vertical rows. Or I might recommend band assisted. Ash, you still on the vertical diet? My LDL skyrocketed with running it, came back down to normal when I reduced my red meat intake. I came off the vertical diet when I quit bulking. That's what I used to get up to 245 and to squat 605. No, I've rotated a few different diets since then. They've all been very clean bro diets. I've messed with lower carb stuff. I've messed with lower fat, higher carb diet successfully all the way through this cut. Right now, I'm running really low carb, which is one reason I'm getting used to it again, because again, I need to drop water weight coming up. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, because I need to make the 198 class, and I've got to make it multiple times this year. I plan on doing 2 to 4 meets this year. Jason, best assistance exercises to fix a front delt weakness on bench. I think we can make a case for incline bench there. I know a lot of people are going to say press, and I love the press. I'm going to say best, though, incline bench with a barbell or dumbbells, probably. But anything that works your front delts, I mean, even front raises will build your front delts in a way that can help with your bench. It's been great watching your development the last few years, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I appreciate that, brother. It's been a hell of a journey. Overhead press shoots up for the first third, but freezes at my forehead level. What's weak, do you reckon? Possibly triceps, but you also need to learn to make that transition. Right around the forehead is where the bar path changes, and it needs to shift back instead of out in front of you, if possible. So you need to learn to transition better through that point, because that's a point where the bar path changes. It's right there. So it may be technique on your part, but if you have strong enough triceps, you can go ahead and power through that. It's like I always say, good technique is great, but strength will push you through bad technique, just being brutally strong. Do you train for snatch and clean and jerk lifts? No, but I have clients who do. I have multiple clients who snatch and clean. Most of my fighters do cleans and snatches. Obviously my weightlifter does cleans and snatches because I have a master's weightlifter. I have a strong man who we only clean with an axle bar, so it's not really the same thing. Do you think 5 by 10 at 60% boring but big is better than 3 by 10 at 70% after max effort, especially on bench? Yes. In fact, if you're strong, you're going to have to cut it down to 50%, not 60. Hey, Jason, when you're bulking, how many calories do you personally eat in a day, and what are your meals? Last time I bulked, I was on 5,000 to 5,500 calories. That is what I got up to 245 on. Right now, I'm at the lowest calories I've been at, trying to get down the weight lower. So to get down to 209, I'm on 26 to 2,700 a day cutting, which is to me crazy low. I eat a lot of food. Hey, Jason, thank you for all your information. Watch your videos all the time. Just wondering if you had any aspiration. Oh, suspiranitis. I'm not going to get that wrong. It's one of the 4 rotator cuffs issues. And what did you do about it? It was more infraspinatus for me. I personally found the wider grip pull-ups and doing dead hangs were the best thing I could possibly do. That is what helped my shoulder the most. And that's not what was hurting recently, like from the overhead pressing and stuff. It was, again, in the front, not the back. But the back is what I had originally hurt and had an impingement in. Hey, coach, how much water weight do you plan on cutting? At least probably 10 pounds. I did 18 for my last meet successfully. How does a 200 press comparison to bench? It doesn't. There's no direct ratio. My shoulders never get sore after a workout. Does this mean I'm not hitting them correctly? No, DOMS is not really indicative of a good workout. Did you have progression? Did you train in the RPEs and the volumes that you need to optimize growth? And if you did and you got good stimulus, then it was a good workout. Did you hit your target numbers for the day? That is how you determine a good workout. How you feel is completely fucking irrelevant. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. What do you think on the war in Ukraine? I'm not addressing that one. Interesting advice. Thanks, Jason. We'll check my technique. Yes, someone answered earlier. All right. You recommend novices train full body with programs such as strong lifts or ice cream fitness, but a lot of your novice lifters are on upper lower split. Why is that? Because once we're customizing, we're better off fine tuning it with an upper lower. It's because for cookie cutter programs that are going to be run for short term, novices do better on full body 3 days a week. But when, again, you're under the direct guidance of a coach, you can fine tune all of that a lot better to get them the exact volumes and workloads they need, since you're looking at their lifts every single week. And you can see where they're at. You don't even do resets the same way anymore. You just assign weights or percentages. Next question here. Conventional rack pulls aggravate an old lower back injury. Sumo seems to be tolerable, but I already squat wide. Still worth doing. Can this create an imbalance? Well, I don't know that you should be doing many rack pulls anyways, other than on conjugate for LB work. I'm not a fan of rack pulls. You need to do block pulls if you're trying to get better speed off the floor, which is why you do block pulls. And a lot of people seem unaware of that. In fact, I had a conversation with Tom Martin where he agreed with me on that. I've known him from the UK, and he's a world record holder in the deadlift. But as far as your question goes, yeah, wide squat with all sumo, you can get overuse in your hips if you don't really moderate your volume. That's why on programs like conjugate, they rotate them. But if your volume and fatigue management are good, you'll probably be okay. But I still think you should work on some conventional also. You need to figure out what's wrong with your back. You need to prehab it. You need to rehab it. You need to fix it. I fixed the backs of quite a few of my clients who had back pain and other issues, and we got them to where they're pulling 500 plus. Are you still cutting? Yes, I am still cutting. I will be cutting even after my first meet of the year. That's why I'm not going to even try to max out. I'm going to come in and hit some stupid low total like 1,200, 1,250, get qualified, and then go on and save it for the big meets. But yes, I'm still cutting. I probably need to drop, again, 8 to 10 more pounds of body fat. What are the chances that doing boring but big long-term would cause overuse issues? As long as your overall fatigue is on point, you deload, I don't think it's a problem. Overuse issues are largely volume related and rate of perceived exertion related. So if you're pushing limit sets and failure all the time, or you're doing too much volume, that's where you get overuse. That's why on conjugate, you rotate lifts all the time, because you're at that threshold on that system continually. So if you don't rotate lifts, shit breaks. And by shit breaks, I mean shit inside your body. It's just not good. All of these people in the fitness industry are dropping like flies. That's actually really sad. That's really sad. I predicted a lot of that, and I wish that I had been wrong, because I don't like to see people die, and people can say, well, they did it to themselves. I get that, but it doesn't make it any less tragic, right? And it doesn't make it any less tragic to their loved ones. You know, I'm sure Austin Lloyd's wife and child don't feel that he had it coming. All right. Do you let clients do rest pause on 5-3-1, boring but big sets? No, I prefer if they don't. They need, those percentages are low enough, they should be able to finish it all the way through. If they can't, we need to assess their work capacity. They need to get out and drag a sled or do some other GPP to get their out of shape ass into shape. What's your opinion on 3x1 at 90% as an alternative to max effort? I would never program it. I don't like it. And these days, all the best max effort coaches, like conjugate coaches, tell you to go to 90% anyways, like winning. They tell you not to do true all-out maxes. So you should be close to 90% anyways. Back in the day when you were a lot younger, what was your best deadlift and bench? 655 deadlift, 425 bench when I was much younger in my 20s. So yeah, I've almost caught my deadlift, but not my bench as an older man from back in the day. Keeping in mind, I spent an entire year in bed sick and 4 years off from training in my early 30s. So it's been a lot to try to rebuild. Hey, Jason, you ever plan on returning to a traditional conjugate templates? Greeting from the UK. No, not really. I program conjugate for a lot of lifters. I still have, I think, 7 people who run conjugate. A couple of them have really big ass numbers, but they like conjugate. They have the right personality for it. And it's a good system. I have all the equipment to run it. I feel basic barbell work is better suited to my personality and mindset. And I enjoy it more. And I've seemed to be able to get strong off of both systems. I have clients who hit big numbers on both types of systems. So again, good programming is good programming at the end of the day. Why is trap bar deadlifts anything a thing? I don't know, man. I get it for some field athletes. I think it's a riskier exercise. And I've covered that before. I think you're more likely to get hurt on it. And it doesn't even carry over to the deadlift. And the conventional deadlift is easy to learn. It is so stupidly easy to learn. With 5 minutes of coaching, you can fix anyone's deadlift. Can hammer strength back extension replace the hypers if my gym doesn't have one? No. Hyperextension has a unique training effect that nothing else replicates. A lot of good appreciation posts. What's your favorite music band? Do you listen to music while working out currently? No. No, I don't listen to music while training most of the time these days. And I'm on no caffeine either right now. And favorite bands, I don't know. That's hard to say. My music taste changes all the time. I like everything from 80s metal to house music. Do you prefer straight sets or pyramid sets for hypertrophy work? Straight sets. That's what I program for myself and all my clients. Very obvious. Would you ever recommend training a muscle 3 times a week again? Yeah, for ranked novices, not for anyone else. JV, I can't remember, man. You're asking me questions about your coaching when I'm in a live chat. I'd have to go look at your footage. You gotta remember, bro, I have 29 lifters. I have to go look at your footage and numbers to even answer that. And I'd have to step away from the thing. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about politics or constitutional law. What did you do to get to a 425 bench in your 20s? Did you do anything very different from what you do now? I was young, uninjured, stupid, reckless, and used a lot of creatine to help. I know more about training now than I did then. That's why I have a lot of clients who outbench me. Best type of rows to bias, upper back overlaps, anything with a wider grip, right? Anything to where you can row higher up towards your chest or with a wider grip will bias the upper back. And by upper back, you mean traps, rear delts. But all rows hit that, and even your wide grip pull-ups hit all that too. Keep that in mind. On minimalist programs, switch lifts every month or two when you stall, or just stick to the same lifts and build progress. Example, overhead press to push press, back squat to front. Thanks. I don't know how much minimalism you should really be doing. No, don't switch your primary lifts. Change your assistance movements. Change your accessory movements. Thoughts on doing more cardio to create a deficit instead of eating less? It doesn't work. The research shows it doesn't work because of the way your NEAT changes. I've done videos on that. Hey, Jason, I'm not a power lifter and I have a sports background. I will use a Zercher squat as my main squat. Is this okay, or will it cause problems down the road? Yeah, you're going to have a weaker lower body. I don't know why you guys are so obsessed with the Zercher squat. It's an okay exercise, but it's not as good as the back squat for building overall size and strength. I get that it has certain sport specificity, right? Are you competing in BJJ? Are you a professional wrestler? Then I don't know why the fuck you're doing it. Okay, I can't bend my arms far enough back on a straight bar squat to grab the bar. Not sure if it's shoulder mobility or what, but wondering if you've seen any issues and how you would fix it. Yeah, work on some dead hangs, work on shoulder mobility, and you need to find the grip width that lets you get there. You might be trying to grip it way too narrow or way too wide. Test different grips until you find the one to where you can get under it correctly. Do you look for a certain number of reps on plus sets before increasing training maxes, or are there more variables involved? There's more variables involved, but that is a big factor, yes. I've never tried a 5x10 at 60%, but I just feel like it would be too easy. Sounds like cardio. Get your deadlift to 600 pounds. Do a really heavy peak set first, and then come back and try to do 5 sets of 10 at 60% for a month straight. And you tell me how easy it is. When you're overtrained and can't lift, and then you're cramping at night and can't sleep, tell me how easy it is. You're going to have to go to 50% eventually. You won't be able to handle it. A lot of creative. What do you think of Wendler's 531 bodybuilding splits? I actually haven't looked at them, even though I've read the books. This guy, I'm about to ban this fucktard right here. All right. All right. Back to the sumo deadlift squatting wide question is now I'm not sure how to address this injury. I'm a late novice. Should I just stick with sumo or block pulls conventional? I don't know. I really would need to look a lot more closely at your question, your situation, your form, figure out what's going on. It's not something I can answer in here. Can't wait for you to do squat, bench, and deadlift day. Really looking forward to it. I'm personally running it now. That's what I'm doing this week. Check the vlogs. Would you collaborate with Alpha Destiny discussing training protocols? I'm not really interested in collaborating with anyone. Maybe I would collaborate with people if they're high-level coaches, right? But that's it. I don't really care about influencers. I care about other coaches. I chat with other coaches. So just because someone has a following, if they're not coaching serious athletes as a primary profession, I really don't give a fuck what they have to say. I'm just not interested. And it's nothing personal. Is a 1.5 times body weight bench considered a late novice? I weigh 60 kg and bench 90. I don't use body weight multipliers. Nobody uses those. Right? Nobody uses those. But I will say that if you're 60 kg, a 90 kg bench is pretty good, but you need to get bigger if you want to get strong. Any advice on which books to read following Starting Strength Practical Programming? Yeah, all the West Side books, all the 531 books. I linked you guys my favorite textbook on training already on Facebook with a picture of it. And I'd grab it, but I don't want to get it from my chair to get it off the desk. Also, Stuart McRoberts' Beyond Brawn is actually good for some basic reading too. Every time I switch to low bar, I get severe elbow pain starting at my brachialis within a month, preventing me from benching. Have I tried overhand, talon, cock back, several grips, tips? Wrap your wrists, learn to pull the elbows down more, find the grip that takes the stress off of it. Your grip width is probably off. What's your thoughts on the idea of squat every day? I've done it. You guys know I did it for 7 months on this channel. It's grueling. It's brutal. It beats you up. And after I quit doing it, I managed to put over 100 pounds on my squat after I stopped doing it. So what do you think I think about it? If I run your 2.0 novice program and had a reverse hyper, how should I use it reps of 25? I think that would be fine. If you wanted to do it as restoration work at the end of those 3 workouts and do 5 sets of 25 with a light weight, I think that would be perfectly fine, and it would probably improve your back health. Wouldn't be a bad idea. It would be fun if people sent their programs here and have you give feedback thoughts. I will never, ever, ever, ever do that again. I made that mistake my first year as a YouTuber a decade ago of looking at people's programs and offering advice. I would charge you $100 an hour to do that. That's how much work it is. And people are ungrateful. It takes enormous amounts of your time, and you might as well just coach them instead. How do I sign up for your training when there are spots? You can send me a message through Instagram or Facebook, although I will want you to eventually have Messenger. I'm sort of taking a trickle in now, but I'm just finishing up the current applications. I may not have any slots for about a month because I'm getting a little overloaded and I have people scheduled to come in. But if you send an application in now, I can get back with you and we can discuss it. But for the rest of this month, I may not be taking on any new applicants, but I'll still interview you. But we'll need a later start date. I am getting a little full on clients. And it's not the time management end, it's just a lot of clients to deal with at once. And I want to make sure the newer people are sorted. Hey, Jason, I want to say these lives are nice. It's nice hearing what you have to say, up to date. I appreciate it, brother. I cuss a lot, by the way. I try not to do it in my videos, but I get in here, so I'm going to tend to say fuck. Hopefully it's not a problem. Doing 3x10 instead of 5x10 on boring but big, mostly to keep training time down slightly. Why don't you just cut your rest times? They're light percentages. Cut your rest times. Run them with 50%. And boring but big shouldn't take you that long anyways. I'm a very tall lifter with long legs and always fold over on squats. Hip rise too fast. What would help? Build your quads up with supplemental work. Learn to squat correctly. Learn to squat with a wide stance. Learn to get those knees out so that you get the best bar path to keep you from folding over as much. Good mornings might not be a bad idea, but I'm going to say early on, if you're tall, you're going to need supplemental quad work. Forgive me, Blaha. I gave up on squats and deadlifts. I kept stalling at 80 kg squats and 100 kg deadlifts. Despite bulking so much to get fat, I've just decided to join the local gym and use machines. Christopher, you're dead to me. Push-pull legs with no experience making their own programs. LOL, such a joke. Yep. Yes, it is. And those programs are horrifically bad. You have talked about boring but strong. Any benefits over boring but big? Also, what are the optimal percentages for boring but strong first foot last percentages or higher? You are not going to run higher than first set last. You may need to go lower. Yeah, you're not going to run higher than first set last if you're going to run that. And I personally find that it beats a lot of lifters up a lot. I think it beats you up more than boring but big. Boring but big is only hard if you're out of shape. If you're in shape, it's actually not bad at all on the recovery. Boring but strong is hard on your recovery. So just be warned. Thoughts on rest pause on accessories or best tips to cut down on gym time? I'm not really a fan of rest pause. If you need to cut down on gym time, superset your accessory work. Or cut accessory work out that you don't need. Right? Cut things down to the bare minimum. Do you really need this exercise? Is it benefiting you? Is it serving you towards your goals? Right? That's how you cut down on gym time. Hey, Jason, I recently tore my hamstring whilst doing a 1 rep max and squat. What advice would you give me in my program? After you rehab it, you need glute ham raises. You should not be tearing a hamstring on squats of all things. So your hamstrings are extremely weak. You need proper hamstring work. You need to do a glute ham raise. And I'm someone who's pulled a hamstring a few times. Those are considered tears. You guys saw me put a picture up of one where my leg turned black, but I was able to deadlift again in like 10 days. But I found the glute ham raises periodically working them in eliminated that problem once my hamstrings got stronger again. Jason, should we be using 90% of our true 1 rep max to program off of for 531 as opposed to our true 1 rep max? You need to be using 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max. You don't want to go over 90% of your 1 rep max. And the stronger you get, the more important it is to follow that rule. Okay, it becomes very important. Novices have more leeway, advanced lifters do not. I have a Rogue SML2 and the regular size pull-up bar has been tearing at my hands as my chins approach 300 pounds. Do you recommend any particular wraps? Ooh, the regular bar, those smooth ones? I haven't noticed it causes any hand problems. Chalk up better and maybe consider that maybe you don't need to do 300 pounds, right? Why don't you just do more reps? It's a hypertrophy exercise. We're not doing chin-ups and pull-ups to test 1 rep maxes if you don't compete in it. Use it to get bigger. No reason for you to do less than 5 reps. And if it's hurting your hands, again, take the reps up. Emma just popped in, just saying hi. Hello, Emma. Is boring but big still done during the 531 deload week? I have most of my lifters, depending on what they're doing, either just take the week off, or if they need training, particularly those who don't have a lot of training experience, so they haven't ingrained the movement patterns, I take them down to 40% and have them do 40% for 5 sets of 10 on the big lifts, maybe some back work, and then go home. Had a bad experience with a powerlifting coach last year, 65 euros an hour, once a week for 2 months. Didn't change my programming despite squat once a week, stalling at 100 kg. Had me deadlifting 3 times a week. Wow. Yeah, you got ripped off, brother. Sorry about that. I've already discussed all the boring but big versus 3x10. Christopher, come on, bro. Get your programming on point. Get your form on point. There's no reason you should be stalling at those numbers, particularly bulking. Your programming is bad. Get on a good program. Charles, I appreciate the donation, brother. Ooh. He has a vestibular disorder, just like I do. I have bilateral Meniere's disease. Matthew just donated. Appreciate it, brother. Consultations, you can contact me through Instagram or Facebook. My links to both are underneath all my videos, and they're on my channel homepage. What did you eat today, Jason? Oh, man, I don't want to say this. People are going to get upset if I tell you what I ate cutting today for cutting. Again, keeping in mind, I've got a meet coming up, so I'm trying to drop quicker. I had eggs. I had mozzarella cheese. I had spinach. I had full-fat Greek yogurt and 1 scoop of whey protein post-workout. People are going to go, that sounds keto. Yeah, it does sound kind of keto. Do you prefer 5s Pro more instead of 531 sets during boring but big? It depends on the lifter. It depends on the lifter. And honestly, I think we can adjust all those percentages around on 5s Pro. Again, just my opinion. I think it can be streamlined a little bit better. And I've been working on doing that with some of my clients. I'm 37 years old. I think I'm strong for my size, 180 but lean, 5'9". Do you think I should stay in the weight class or try to compete a heavier 1 rep max bench is 350, 525 deadlift, about 450 squat? You got room to grow. I would slowly work up. Do you read any books? I read enormous amounts of books. I read hundreds of books, everything from exercise science to fantasy literature. But back over the vestibular disorder guy who just donated. Front squats make me dizzy. Do you have any alternatives? Back squats. And here's the thing, if you're at a point where you can't get your vertigo under attack right now while you're going to rehab for it, leg presses. And one of the things that I did to help when I was losing my balance, because I have lost my sense of balance, I don't have one. I used to do squats with chains hanging on the bar, and I would start them swinging just to train some of the muscles to stabilize me better. And that's something I did years and years ago, right before I started the YouTube channel originally, as I was rebuilding myself after I was able to walk again without puking with my veneers, as it went into burnout stage. So that's something that I did. But yeah, if you're having vestibular issues, front squats are going to be really hard. Follow-up info. My question, the 300 chins are for reps. Yeah, but you could go a little lighter if they're tearing your hands up with that bar, is what I'm saying. You could go a little lighter and crank out more reps. I mean, if you're telling me you're doing, 15 reps with 300 pounds, and I would say, hey, maybe there's no point getting any squatter on chins. You're a animal. You are insanely strong at that point. You're inhumanly strong, and you probably deadlift 700 plus pounds. Dumb question. Can I box squat in 5-3-1? Why would you? Box squatting, when you get anything stronger than novice level, it really becomes problematic for rep work. It takes a lot out of you. Oh, the air conditioner kicked on. Hopefully it's not too loud. I use box squats for people who do conjugate. And then when we go over to conjugate with them, we're only doing dynamic work and max effort work with it. We're not doing, 6 and 10 rep sets with it. I think you're better off with a back squat on that system. Again, keeping in mind the box squat is about creating rate of force production. Defiantly Trill donated. I appreciate it, brother. Also, more appreciation post. What do you think of this for my pushing muscles? Max effort press, boring but big. 3x10 overhead press, then 3x10 press downs. Again, max effort, are you talking about doing a 5-3-1 type max effort? Or are you talking about a conjugate type max effort? Because if you're going to do conjugate, you're going to rotate stuff a little bit more, right? You're going to rotate stuff a little bit more. And that's a lot of volume that you're putting there. If you're only doing that once a week, that's probably okay. But if you're pressing more than once a week, it's too much volume. How do you cope with hunger? I am drinking almost 2 gallons of water a day. Full fat Greek yogurt tastes really good with almond butter. Yes, it does. I am not doing that quite at the moment because I'm trying to keep the calories a little more in check. Hey, Jason, tips on overcoming the C word. I'm not going to say the virus. I don't know that I want to answer that. What I did will not be popular for me to say. People won't like it because it might have involved horse dewormer. How do you like your coffee? Black, but I am off coffee again. I'm on no caffeine right now. Hey, Jason, do you got any overhead press goals? What's your best overhead press? The best I've done on camera was 227.5. However, I am not doing the press anymore. It becomes too problematic for my shoulders. I'm just going to focus on bench for powerlifting. I love the press. I just think it's problematic for me, and it's a redundant exercise. I still love the idea of it philosophically, because what's more manly than just pushing a weight up over your head? Like strictly pressing a weight over your head, right? That's beast mode shit. Philosophically, I love that, just like I love the deadlift. It's a problem for me. Every time I work it back in, eventually my shoulders start to hurt. Will you remove the stream from your channel, or can I watch the stream later? No, I'm going to leave it up. Why would I take it down? I'm going to get up here and film something. I want you guys to be able to see it. Is the idea of post-workout carbs overrated as long as carbs are kept high before and during workout? Post-workout carbs are overrated completely. Uh, Actually, any benefits of post-workout carbs have been replicated with purely protein as far as the real data goes. Now, if you're doing a higher carb diet all the time, yeah, it's not going to matter. If you're not on a real high carb diet, then protein seems to be just as good, if not better. And in fact, protein combined with carbs seems to be equal with protein. So either way, as long as you protein load post workout, you're still going to get what you want, but it doesn't need to be immediate. Right? The whole anabolic window thing has been overhyped. The research has dug into that. I've done quite a few videos on that. I could probably do some more discussing that in more detail. Do you have any experience with SI joint pain? I can't do hip hinges without pain. For over 6 months now, I have advanced numbers on both deadlift and squat, and good mornings. I've had a couple clients with SI pain. Robbie, who you guys have seen his vlog up quite a bit, he's been a client well over a year. He's one of my skinny hard gainers who we basically have in up to about a 4-plate squat, 5-plate deadlift. We put 40 pounds on him and he's still not fat. Messing with the variations. You're going to have to rotate some of your variations. And what I found with some guys who I've messed with it is that they can't conventional deadlift. They can sumo for a while you build up all the muscles of the hip to support it better. And then they can eventually go back to conventional. I've done that with one guy. With Robbie, we just have to rotate stuff because his never goes away. I find hanging leg raises help his a bit. We just have to deload him often. He has to deload a lot. I have to deload him every 4 weeks. And one of my guys with elite lifts has SI joint pain. And we just basically have to really watch his squat, deadlift, and good morning volumes. And we do have to rotate his lifts a little bit, unfortunately. But he runs conjugate. If I had him on a different system, I could probably find a way for him to do it without rotating. But again, you're going to have to really watch your volume. You're going to have to build up all of your hip extensors a lot more to help. And when it hurts, you're going to have to learn to just deload and not take it to that limit. Hey, Jason, I passed out doing a 230 kg squat. When I regained consciousness, the bar was clamped down on my quads and felt tingly. Any advice? Do I have low iron? I don't know what caused it. A lot of things can cause you to lose consciousness, brother. It's unfortunate. Tips for bulking on vegetarian diet. Dairy is your friend. It shouldn't be hard. Why are you having trouble bulking on a vegetarian diet? You can eat peanut butter and cheese. Not like you're a vegan here. Right? Peanut butter and cheese. Peanut butter mixed with whole fat Greek yogurt. I promise you'll be able to bulk. I'm 37, nearly 38. I do much better in a master's. There's less competition, so I was thinking of waiting until I was 40 to compete. Would you do the same if you were me, or get in there now for practice? Get in and get you a meeting. Get a meeting, get some practice. Do you think grass-fed beef is worth the cost? I think it tastes slightly better nutritionally. And again, depends on the country you're in. Like in Texas, our beef is all grass-fed. It's only grain finished for the last 6 weeks. It spends over a year out in the pasture eating grass in the sunlight. But as far as that goes, the nutritional differences are very, very small based on the research I've seen. I mean, it's literally a case of there's slightly more omega-3, but if you just take one fish oil pill, you get as much omega-3 as eating like 5 pounds of grass-fed beef. Not really much to it. It can be slightly leaner. That's the main thing. But you can buy leaner cuts of beef. So I don't know that it's worth it unless you just enjoy the taste more. I think it tastes slightly better, me personally. For older, more advanced lifters, thoughts on hitting the 5-3-1 minimum reps on the plus sets, or just 1 to 2 reps over the minimum rather than pushing the AMRAP? Thanks. Well, you don't push it to a full AMRAP. You leave at least 1 rep in reserve. Watch the sets you've seen me do where I did like 11 on 500 with the deadlift with my 5+ set, right? I still left a rep in the tank. You stop short. It's not an AMRAP. And if you're only at 1 or 2 reps over, your training maxes might be too high. right? You might need to reset them a little bit, to be honest. So no, go ahead and push them out. Just stop short of technical breakdown of your lifts. Don't grind. Hey Jason, I'm 15 and I'm following your 5x5 novice program. I've made some really good gains, but my problem is I want to be able to go to the gym 5 days a week. Should I add more volume to the rest days? Okay, let me ask you a question, Jaden. Do you want to get bigger and stronger, or do you want to go to the gym 5 days a week? Because you can't do both. You need to pick which one is more important to you, your need to go to the gym more, or for you to get cock diesel and brutally strong as fuck. Pick one, right? You need to pick one. Because training 5 days a week, unless you are blasting gear, is going to give you less results. So you need to make a choice of which one's more important to you, training 5 days a week or getting bigger and stronger. Which one matters to you more? All right. I only have dumbbells up to 45 kg on my squat days after the 5-3-1 work and boring but big. I do goblet squats. I do 5x15. I would like to progress to 5x20. Do you see a problem with 5x20 goblet squats? No. No, if that's the heaviest dumbbell you have, look, if you can do a 45 kg dumbbell for 5 sets of 20 after doing other squat work, after, your legs are pretty damn strong. You're in a very, very good place. And no, I don't see a problem with that. I get under the squat bar, legs still hurting from 2 days ago, disappointingly, lose a rep or two on the first set of 5 or 10. Is it better to quit the leg session or take more time to recover? You need to get your recovery on point. You are not recovered. And if that's the case, then your programming needs work, your food needs work, your sleep needs work, your stress management needs work. Would it be a bad idea to use incline as the main lift on 5-3-1 bench day in conjunction with overhead press and overhead press day? Obviously, yes, you will gain less muscle. I like the incline bench as a supplemental lift. I program it for a lot of lifters. It will not put as much size or strength on you as the flat bench. It will not make your chest as big as the flat bench. So no, it's not a good idea. Australian strength coach said 50% of your pressing volume should come from vertical pressing and the other half from horizontal for strength gains or for bench press. What's your stance on this opinion? I know multiple guys who bench press over 500 pounds raw who don't do any vertical pressing. So what do you think the answer is? I think that Australian strength coach is full of shit and doesn't hang around with real lifters. I'm trying to cut, but I always get too hungry and end up going over my calories. Do you recommend eat lots of fruit and water to keep full? That's a good strategy. That's one method. Increase your fiber, increase your protein. If you struggle with overeating, you may need to look into some intermittent fasting just to limit your feed window. That's the real value of it. That's why a lot of people like it. It's not magical. Doesn't help you burn fat, but it can help you control calories if you're really struggling with that. But water, more fiber, fruit definitely helps. Vegetables help. What are the percentages for a deload week? I usually run my guys at about 40%. What do you think of doing 5-3-1 for a long period of time will lead to overuse? I already covered that. You can rewatch this the first 10 minutes. I answered that question from someone else. No, I don't think it's a concern if you program it right. For conjugate, should we train DE squat and DE deadlift for the same day every week, even though we're only training ILME for those movements bi-weekly, or DE for the individual ILME movement we did that week? You don't know how conjugate works. Okay, you don't do the movement you did that week. You do box squats for the speed squats, and you do either some form of conventional or sumo deadlift for the speed pulls. You do both on DE day. You do both of them. Jason, what's your opinion on pin squats? I've never seen you talk about them. Thanks. I watch my client logs. I have lifters who do pin squats. I think they're good potentially for some ME work. I'm not a big fan of doing reps on them, a lot of rep work. I think for some people, they can help with certain parts of the sticking point, right? They can help with sticking point. But I don't program them a lot. I usually only program them for conjugate lifters and no one else these days. Everyone else, I'll just do some sort of squat variation for leg work outside of their back squat, whether it's some specialty bar, goblet squats, front squats, leg presses, belt squats, isolateral leg work. All right. Hey, Jason, I block pull the same weight as my squat and way less than I can conventional deadlift. What could be my weak links? Well, you're weak off the floor. Most likely, and assuming if relatively low block, you have weak quads. Possibly weak hamstrings, but definitely weak quads. Particularly if that block pull is considerably less than your conventional deadlift. Again, we're assuming a reasonable block. It's not up there at the knees. Jaden asking, what can I do on the rest days for your Inaugurals program? I like to do active recovery like full body or training calisthenics. Should I stop? Yes. Do GPP. Go drag a sled. Push a prowler. Do some tire flips. Do some general physical preparedness to get your conditioning up. Don't weight train. Jason, you get the credit for my daily Greek yogurt, almond butter, and frozen cherries combo. Been eating it for months and still not sick of it. Oh, it's delicious. It's a good combination if you're on a diet that allows those macros. What causes someone to have shin pain while squatting? I have no idea. Hey, Jason, where has that pink fluffy cat gone from all your videos? My old ones, that was Bag Puss. I actually still have it. One guy said, feels like I'm stealing getting this info for free and using it to train others. You have a Cash App for donations. There's a donate button down below. Also, I have a subscription now, a members thing for this channel. I just started it today. Something that came as part of the live streams that let me turn it on. All right, guys, looks like it's been closing in on an hour. That's a lot of talking nonstop for me. But to be honest, someone had said that, these were better than the Q&As. Honestly, the amount of work that I put in just to do this hour video is probably easier than the weekly Q&As I was doing. And I couldn't get enough questions anymore for those. That's why I discontinued them. So I think me dropping in at least a couple times a week and doing some live streams is probably a good replacement for that. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. And thank you all for participating.